morning, students. So we will start a new chapter in mobile computing, which is ubiquitous wireless communication. Ubiquitous wireless communication. Now, what do you mean by ubiquitous, first of all? Ubiquitous means wireless communication means kind of the technology we used in that comes in wireless communication mostly or widely is called Wi-Fi. So ubiquitous Wi-Fi in the sense, ubiquitous wireless communication aims to provide, you know, mobile computing or mobile communication everywhere, anytime. Okay. So the idea and the theme is that you should be able to communicate or see data or remain connected to the network anytime you want. Okay. There is no limitation. There is all-time flexibility. So that is the aim of this ubiquitous wireless communication. Okay. So the idea of anywhere, anytime, by anything and anyone, 4 A's. Okay. So anywhere, anytime, anything and anyone is what these ubiquitous wireless communication technology seeks to achieve. Okay. So far, there has been evolution from 1G to 5G till now, isn't it? So 1G means only audio communication through. So the evolution has been from 1G to 5G till now. In 1G, through very crude technology, we could only communicate through fax and all those things. There was no concept of internet or network. With 2G, the communication of internet, with the evolution of internet, we started communicating. Voice calls were possible. There was uplink, downlink. There were modes of transmission like full duplex and half duplex mode through which communication could be established. With the 2G, there were apart from voice call, we could also have other forms of communication in forms of text and multimedia and all those things. With 3G, it facilitated more of, apart from voice call, the speed increased and which supported the exchange of multimedia and other type of files as well. So this was possible with 3G. 3G made it seamless for everyone and affordable for everyone to access, the gain of mobile computing through which it could connect to internet and it could, people could exchange other file formats and apart from voice calls as well. Okay. Now, the technology that was used in 2G is called GPRS. Okay, I've already uploaded the video for GSM and GPRS. So GSM and GPRS are the technology names which made possible the exchange of data and other files through internet in addition to voice calls. Okay, so after that in 3G through UMTS, we could achieve greater speed and greater efficiency, and with more affordability, this service was reachable to most of the population throughout the globe. Okay, so we will go through the UMTS. UMTS is a service based on 3G. 3G. Okay, with the 3G, UMTS architecture defines how what is the underlying system through which we can exchange more data and all. So these are all theory part. I will send you the notes about how UMTS evolved, how the evolution of mobile computing started from 1G to 3G. So everything, these are theory. You can, simply read it as a story and understand. But the technical part is the UMTS architecture and what are the components of it and how the routing takes place and which components is responsible for doing what. We will understand that. Okay. So UMTS consists of basically two kind of network. One is UTRAN, okay, and the second one is a core network. What is a core network? Core network is the network of a particular company or service provider, like Airtel or Docomo. Docomo has vanished, of course, like Airtel or Jio, suppose Jio. So these are the service provider which is a core network. We call it in UMTS architecture. So there is a core network and there is UTRAN. UTRAN means UMTS terrestrial radio access network. Now this is responsible for managing the natural radio resource in the environment. Okay, how to manage that? Through technology, so that it can be connected to the core network, and through core network we can be connected to other external network. What are these external network? Like PSTN. PSTN is public switch telephone network. Through we can connect to telephone network, we can connect to other other kind of fax network. Okay, there is people not just make telephone, they also fax things. Okay, so through that network, so there are various external network through which we can connect to our mobile agent. This is our mobile agent. This is the mobile phone or the end devices. So the end device can connect to various other network through TRAN and through a core network. Core networks is necessary because if you do not subscribe to a company or a service provider to take the service, you cannot access mobile computing. You cannot, do things. You cannot be a part of a network. To be the part of a network, you have to register yourself to a core network. That means you have to register to a service like Vodafone service or Jio service. Okay, you must be a user of a service. Okay, so let's come to the individual entities. We will talk about functionality of each of these. First is end device, that is the mobile computing device which must be capable of communicating or must be capable of being its packet channel through this networks. Now UTRAN is responsible for managing the radio signal. So what are the components of UTRAN? We have a node which is basically an tower kind of thing, transceiver we say. There are transceiver and receiver which transmit and receive signal. Okay, so these are transceiver and a radio network controller. Okay, this component is responsible mostly to get the signals and channel them to the core network. Okay, now two way we can there are two ways of getting packets or sending packets or receiving packet. One way is called packet switched and another way is called circuit switched. Okay, in computer networks you surely have read about switching. In switching you must have learned about packet switch network and circuit switch network. Okay, in circuit switch network what happens is a connection is already established through dialogue delivery. Okay, simply we do not transmit packet through channels. Okay, first we need to talk to the receiver. The sender and receiver, they have a talk that see, I want to send this amount of data. Do you have this this much space, and are you free now? So these kind of dialogue delivery takes place. Well, if the receiver replies that yes, I am free now, you can send me data, then only a dedicated channel is created between the sender and receiver and the exchange of information takes place. But with packet switch, we do not talk to receiver whether he is free, whether it is free or not. We simply route the packet and there may be error, but that is controlled in the upper layer. Okay, in the best effort delivery way, it will go through various channels and it ultimately reaches the receiver. Okay, through routing protocols, it ultimately gets reached. So that's why packet switching is called an unreliable protocol, whereas circuit switching is mostly applied on the transport layer, which is called a reliable protocol. Okay, so that's why there are two ways. Okay, in this RXC, this node is first of all responsible for getting the signal through the environment through various modes. We have learned about frequency division multiple access, code division multiple access, multiplexing, we allocate channel and the node B receives this channel through these mechanisms, and the radio network controller is connected to the MSC component of core network. What is MSC? MSC is Mobile Service Switching Center. Now MSC and RNC are connected to through an interface called NUCS. C stands for circuit switched and P stands for packet switched. Okay. So in this, the connection of RNC and MSC is a reliable kind of connection is maintained since it is circuit switched. Okay. Now what is MSC of a core network? Suppose taking the example of Vodafone. Vodafone has a MSC, Mobile Service Switching Center. Now this has the role of routing the packets, switching it to the desired network. Okay. So desired calls. Suppose there is a user 2. This is user 1. This is user 2. There is another user. Now, if user 2 wants to communicate with user 1, then MSC resolve that which external network it needs to connect to. Suppose a Geo user, this is a Vodafone user, user 2 is a Vodafone user and user 1 is a Geo user. User 2 wants to communicate with a Geo user, MSC is responsible to locate the Geo user. Okay, it applies various routing protocol to find what is the network it is in and how to route the packets. Okay, so MSC does the job of a router, you can say, in network level. Okay, and GMSC is the default gateway MSC. Gateway MSC means the last MSC of the network, which is connected to directly to external network. So GMSC is directly connected to the other external network like telephone network or some fax network or other service providers network. Okay, so GMSC is the router which connects to directly with different network, with external network. Okay, so this is the property of GMSC. Now a core network consists of various things like how do we know that we are registered to Vodafone? Okay, how do the companies know that these are my customers? So the list of subscribers, permanent subscribers which have subscribed to the to that service, who have taken the benefit of that service, are maintained in home location register HLR. Okay, HLR is a database which maintains its name and details of the customer. Okay. Similarly, there is VLS. VLS means visitor location register. VLR, sorry. VLR means visitor location register. It maintains the list of the visitors. Suppose someone is of Vodafone Odisha, but my core network is Vodafone Chhattisgarh. Now someone has come from Vodafone Odisha to Vodafone Chhattisgarh. So it has entered to my area, my Chhattisgarh Vodafone service area. So that's why I have to maintain that person's detail in visitor location register. So VLR mostly contains the visitor of this core network. Similarly, Authentication Center, AUC stands for Authentication Center. Authentication Center is responsible for the security purpose, so that the communication that has been exchanged between user 2 and user 1 must be safe. Okay, it must be encrypted so that there is no attack. Okay, otherwise you send a message to someone and the whole world knows. So what is the purpose? So to maintain the security, we have Authentication Center. Now coming to GPRS support node. See, why is GPRS coming into picture? See, I told you that 2G uses, with the advancement of mobile computing in 2G uses two kind of service technology or implementation for achieving what it has achieved. That is the GPRS and the GSM. Now 3G uses the services that is already been done in 2G. Okay, 2G का advanced version है 3G. तो 3G क्या use करेगा? जो 2G में already है, you know the concept of inheritance, right? What has already been done, that is also present in 3G. So this is the 2G component. Okay, that is GPRS. GPRS support node. So whatever 2G supports, 3G also support. For that matter, we have two support node, service GPRS support node, and this is gateway GPRS support node. S stands for service and G stands for gateway. And GSM stands for GPRS support node. I have written the abbreviation for all the long, sorry, the full form of all the long abbreviations. Okay. So GSM stands for GPRS support node. Since 3G uses implementation of since 3G uses the implementation of 2G as well. So what has been done in 2G is also present in 3G. So 2G uses GPRS system. So GPRS is present in 3G, and these are the GPRS support nodes present in the UMTS architecture, that is 3G system. In 3G system is implemented by UMTS architecture, and we are reading about UMTS architecture. So UMTS architecture also implements the GPRS architecture, which is in 2G. Okay. So GPRS support nodes are present. One is service support node and service GPRS support node. Another one is gateway GPRS support node. GPRS, enhances the, or you can say improvises the process of, sending. Apart from voice calls, it helps us send other messages as well, like multimedia messages, like in any files like PDF or VLR or any kind of WLB files, like CSV files, we have Excel sheet, we have Word files, we have all kinds of files could be communicated. It was made possible through GPRS system. Okay, so this was about each and every component of this UMTS architecture. I hope it is clear to you now. If you have any doubt, you can post it in the comment section, or we can clear it in the doubt class. And I will, explicitly, since this is mostly theory, and you have to remember everything and write about each of the component in the exam. So I will share you the entire notes for this chapter.